countdown to the last comic shop in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Secret Wars!
I, Dr. Doom, will trap Captain America in my Tower of Doom!
Spider-Man, Tower of Doom, and Dr. Doom versus Captain America, each sold separately. You put the tower together.
How should I trap him, Secret Shield? Ah! With the Doom Slammer!
So this is the Tower of Doom?
Welcome, Captain!
Get me out now, Spider-Man!
Tower of Doom from the Marvel Superhero Secret Wars collection. Dr. Doom versus Captain America, Spider-Man, and the Tower of Doom set, each sold separately. New from Mattel.
For a 30-second commercial, that's just epic. It's the Last Comic Shop podcast. Wow, I love that. Oh, man. They only had a couple of those commercials for the Secret Wars toys, but that was the great one for the Tower of Doom playset, which I believe Chad still has one.
This is not my original vintage one. I picked this one up at like a flea market in my 30s. Still has the daily trap, and the top part is here somewhere. I just don't know where.
How much do you think that would cost today? I'm not saying what that specific toy is worth. I'm saying if you were to go to Walmart today, and if they were to have a playset like that, because I think it would be like $80.
I don't think you're wrong. There's a really killer Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle playset out currently, but it is an $80 playset, and it's only slightly more involved than the Tower of Doom.
Oh, wow. Well, I got my Tower of Doom playset for $10 at a discount store like several years after the Secret Wars action figure set went under. But the comic book series Secret Wars lives on, especially this week, as it's the comic book we're covering. I'm the host of The Most, Andy Larson. I'm joined by Chad Smith, Jay Scott, and the wonderful George from Shortbox Summary. It is his pick this week, and he said, yes, we are reading the original Secret Wars miniseries from Marvel. And I said, hell yeah, because I love that shit. I love that shit. I love it. It's the best. Every couple years, I got to revisit it. Right, George? I mean, you read it every year, right?
I used to reread it every summer. It was how I knew summer was starting. And then I would just go on a spree at my comic book shop, just raiding the dollar bins, trying to find issues that felt like this book. Thank you so much for letting me correct my mistake of Contest of Champions with the actual real company-wide crossover that actually matters and is of quality.
Well, no, that's good, though, because now we have some continuity in our shows. Make sure that you check out that previous episode that George was on where we talked about Contest of Champions, because that was, as we mentioned, kind of a dry run for what they would eventually do in Secret Wars. Both of those books have that big 2-page splash page where they have all the superheroes all lined up and being like, where the hell are we? How the hell did we get here? We'll get to how the hell they got to Battle World and fought Dr. Doom in just a moment. But as we always do when we have George on our shows, if you've ever listened to his particular program, Shortbox Summary, he always likes to include some movies and music, try to give more of the cultural zeitgeist of what was going on at the same time that certain comic books were released. And he's put together some of these lists for Secret Wars, right, George?
Sure have. I gotta be honest, I'm not thrilled with the Billboard Hot 100 for this month, so I'm going to stick to movies and to TV.
George, you said you didn't want to go through the Billboard Top 100, but what is the number one? What's number one with the bullet?
Number one on the Billboard Hot 100 is We Are the World, USA for Africa.
Oh, there you go. Very, very good documentary. Came out, I think, last year about that.
I have the top 25 grossing movies of April 1985. That is when issue 12 came out. I'm not going to read all 25, don't worry. But I am going to read number 25 because I love this movie, Just One of the Guys.
Oh, an HBO classic.
HBO classic. Did that movie make me a man? I don't know, but it helped. And then from there, there's other good things that were in theaters this week making money. Girls Just Want to Have Fun, another 80s classic. Amadeus was in theaters. That was number 15. Number 13 at the box office was a 1985 re-release of Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi.
Yum f***ing nub. Everybody loves those murder bears.
Sure. Number 12, Friday the 13th, A New Beginning.
Is that 6? I get confused.
Either 6
That's
or 5.
not the Paul Rudd one, is it?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
Number 10, Porky's Revenge, whatever. Number 9 is Witness, which that movie...
Wait a second, you skipped over Porky's
Sure.
2, The Revenge?
Sure did, Andy. That wasn't an accident, no.
I know, though, that J.A. is a huge fan of Witness as well. I think that's one of his favorite movies.
Yes,
They
and
got it.
I grew up like 20 miles from where they filmed that. So I used to drive by. There's the farm. There's the
that's
Dairy
where-
Queen.
Around there, near there-ish, is where Mrs. Shortbox Summary is from. So also a fun spot. Also, Harrison Ford might just be the hottest dude who ever lived, and Witness might be peak Harrison Ford. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let's get into the top 5. I'm going to start with 5 and go back. Number 5 at the box office this month, Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah! Bow.
Sarge.
Hello. Welcome to Beverly Hills. Yeah, God, one of the funniest performances of all time.
I can't believe Balky didn't get an Academy Award for that.
He
Yeah,
stole
yeah,
the movie. Stole the
He
movie.
really did. No, he went toe-to-toe with Eddie Murphy, and, like, he might have won a few rounds. Like, it was unbelievable. And the Harold Faltermeyer score, oh my God, that music in that movie is absolutely perfect.
That's not the first month that came out, right? I mean,
I assume it's not, just because movies had way, way longer of a runway just to be in theaters back in 85. Number 4, a movie, I'll be honest, I've never seen. I assume you guys have opinions, but number 4 is the Care Bears movie.
But it was huge. If it hadn't been for the Care Bears movie, like they greenlit like Rainbow Bright and the Transformers movie and the G.I. Joe movie eventually, which wasn't a movie. It turned into a TV movie, but it was all because of Care Bears and how much bank that movie made at the box office.
Was it animated or was it live action?
It was
It
animated.
was animated, yeah.
Okay.
And it was one of those things where at the time Disney had stopped putting out animated movies in the theaters. There weren't really a lot of animated movies.
It's because they got burned on Black Cauldron, right? Like they lost so much money on that one. Yeah.
And Fox and the Hound and all that other jazz. Like, no, like this was like the dark days for Disney. So like Care Bears jumped on this screen and all of a sudden parents were like, holy crap, we have an animated movie to take our kids to. And so again, buku bucks. Thanks to that, Optimus Prime bit it. If it hadn't been for him, maybe that wouldn't have scarred me as a child watching him die on the big screen.
That Care Bear stare does it again.
Yeah, you're like the 8th person in your age demographic that I know that's been like, oh, yeah, I've been different ever since I saw Optimus Prime die. like that was like your actual first brush with mortality, was just seeing Optimus Prime turn black and drop the Autobot matrix of leadership.
That was his death of Bambi's mom.
That's a great way to put it, J.A. That's incredible. I never considered that, but holy smokes, yeah, you're right.
At least they gave us Duke getting hit with a spear, and then they're like, no, he's fine.
He's just fine.
He's not dead. He's fine.
He's in a coma. It's fine. He took one right in the chest, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Modern medicine.
Number 3 at the box office in the month of April, 1985, The Breakfast Club.
Don't you forget about me. You know what? I've actually never seen that movie the whole way through. I've seen enough bits and pieces that I've probably watched the entire movie from beginning to end, but I've never sat down and just watched it.
Man, I probably watch that movie like once a month, to be honest. Like, that is like one of my favorite like background fall asleep movies. The soundtrack is so comforting. I feel like, ironically, it is a movie about all these different cultures, but it was monocultural itself. So like I appreciate the irony in that. But man, can't recommend it enough. Number 2, a movie I'm familiar with, but I have not seen, Mask.
Eric Stoltz
Yeah,
and Cher.
A teenager with a like face deformity, right? Like learns how to live life in a small town with his mom, right? Like that's that's the story. And then most importantly, number 1 at the box office for April 1985, Police Academy 2: The First Assignment.
And see, we're not going to skip over that one like you did with Porky's 2. I've seen that movie the whole way through. Plus, I've seen all the Police Academy movies. Unfortunately and fortunately, depending on my level of drunkenness.
I didn't realize they weren't high cinema until well into my adulthood. I thought that's how movies were supposed to be. The guy that just makes all the sound effects, like, why don't you have him on every movie?
You don't have to do any Foley.
Watching Police Academy in my apartment alone in Los Angeles just drunk and sad as hell, just tweeting about how awesome Michael Winslow was. And then he just started following me and we started talking, and it was great. It was incredible.
That's awesome. You're best friends with Michael Winslow. Poop, pop, beep.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into TV shows that were going on in 1985.
Number 6 on the Nielsen ratings with a rating share of 22.1 out of 36. Dallas.
Wow. Dallas was on the list, I believe, for also Contest of Champions. Could have also been on the list for Warlock when we did that book, too. So, like, we're talking about a long span where Dallas was up in that top 10 in the Nielsen's.
Dallas ran on CBS from April 2nd of 1978 through May 3rd of 1991.
And I will say that I believe this was around the season where Patrick Duffy shows up in the shower and it was all a dream. And then my brother threw the huge clunky remote we had at the TV and said, "I'm done with this show. This is terrible." He was so pissed when Patrick Duffy came back and it was all a dream.
Though, like, he's right, you know. Number 5 on the Nielsen ratings, Who's the Boss?
Everything about that show was the best. It was a great lead-in. Tony Danza was good. Melissa Milano was on that. Even the smoking hot old grandma, like Blanche Devereaux, just wanted a piece of tail wherever she went.
What was it with the 80s and horny grandmas?
There sure were a lot of them, yeah. No horny grandmas on this show, to my knowledge. Number 4, Family Ties on NBC.
No, I don't think any horny grandmas on that.
This is Michael J. Fox, like right when like Back to the Future is coming out too.
Well, there were issues with getting him to be able to film because of Family Ties.
Eric Stoltz from Mask was the original cast, and they shot like 70% of the movie, and they were like, "This is just not working." And then he was pulling double duty, you know, shooting Family Ties during the day and then doing Back to the Future at night.
But we're bearing the lead. Don't forget drunk Tom Hanks as the uncle on Family Ties.
Or that very special episode where...
That was the first like drug episode I remember of a TV show, was when he started doing speed. So he like had time to like study for all of his tests, and then he crashed when he was supposed to take all of his tests because of the speed he was doing.
I think you're confusing that with Saved by the Bell, and it was Jesse Spano.
No,
Take all the pills until she had to cry and hug Zach Morris, and everything was okay.
No, I swear this was
I'm pretty sure
an arc on Family Ties.
Michael J. Fox also took the speed-ins.
All right, I guess. I don't know.
His bus was going 55. It was a very common thing. People were afraid of the speeds.
2 people doing a drug? That doesn't sound right. I don't think so. I don't think that's possible. I think it just ravaged Bayside High. I don't think it could be anywhere else.
Just say no.
America.
Just say no.
Number 3 on the Nielsen ratings, The A-Team.
Love it when a plan comes together.
I think this was one of J.A.'s favorite seasons where they brought Robert Vaughn in and then they changed up the theme song so it was all like techno with like a keyboard soundtrack instead of the
synthesizer. Yeah.
This is where the A-Team becomes the B-Team.
Number 2 on the Nielsen ratings, Dynasty.
Oh, no, wait. To back it up. No free ads, George, except for BCW Supplies. LCSPOD, 10% off your order on all comic book supplies. BCWSupplies.com.
I can't remember if I shared this. I actually used that code when I was buying some dividers, and I ordered the wrong size dividers. I want the ones that are taller than my books, and I accidentally ordered the ones that are same size as my books. Called customer service, talked to a person immediately. They gave me the ability to return my dividers and then get the correct ones in exchange. Incredibly easy experience. So good job, BCW Supplies.
That's right, George. There's great service at BCWSupplies.com.
Promo code LCSPOD at checkout for 10%.
And number 1 TV show, The Cosby Show.
R.I.P. Theo.
There was that one episode where Theo had to go through the real world. Like the house was like an apartment or something. They gave him out bucks and things. Man, that was a great episode. I miss being able to like that show. But yeah, there's reasons why I can't.
And that's all I got for 1985. Unfortunately, though, the source I love to use most is Comic-Con, which is like a comic book sales chart. They just don't have great records for 1985 through 1986, unfortunately. Like, it really isn't until like the mid 90s and like really early 2000s, which is great for my show, Shortbox Summary.
Well, I think I'll jump in for George real quickly. I know that on a previous episode we talked about Tom Brevoort has a website, and he starts talking about some of the best comic books from certain eras. So let's go ahead and use Tom Brevoort's list of the 5 best comics from 1985. He first talks about the fact that Dave Sim had found his footing on his long-running church and state storyline, that it was happening during Cerebus, probably the end of my experience with Cerebus. I really do feel like everybody should, if you're a comic book reader, read from the beginning all the way through High Society and then Church and State, parts 1 and parts 2, and then probably drop off. But that's on his list. Another great book that we covered here on the last Comic Shop when we really needed a quick review, Superman Annual for the Man That Has Everything. That came out in 1985. So you've got Dave Gibbons on art, Alan Moore writing, Superman being put into a dreamscape by Mogul, and eventually Jason Todd saves the day. A third book that's on Tom Brevoort's list is Scott McCloud's Zot or Zout. Everybody might know Scott McCloud is the guy that wrote Understanding Comics, but a lot of people know that he did a series before that, which was called Zot. Which Andy pronounces Zout for reasons I don't understand what that's about. Another issue that came out in 1985 on his list is the special edition New Mutants #1. Was done by Art Adams. Asgardian War? Yes, it is, actually. It's got Warlock on the cover with magic, and they're fighting through like a bunch of monsters, and Loki, Storm, Asgardian action, mutants galore. I've never read it. It's beautiful. Peak, like just bursting on the scene, 1985's Art Adams. Crossed over with, I want to say the X-Men Annual that year. It was a 2 or 3 part story. I can't remember.
Genuinely gorgeous. That's actually one of the oldest trade paperbacks I own. I found that in like a half off bin at some shop and grabbed it. And Chad's right. Like, the story is whatever, but like, it is so much fun to look at. And the final book on his list of the top 5 comics of 1985 is Daredevil Born Again. You know, Kingpin finding out Daredevil's secret identity. I think that's a book we should cover on the last Comic Shop at some point in the future. I mean, it's on you guys haven't yet?
No, we've talked about it on many occasions, but no, we've never done Born Again. So that's Tom Brevoort's list of some of the top comic books that were coming out in 1985. But we'll get to one that's not on the list. It is Secret Wars right after this commercial break. So stay tuned for more Last Comic Shop right after this.
Secret Wars with a secret Art Adams connection. Dun, dun, dun.
Hey, it's Mikey Wood, frequent Last Comic Shop guest and collector. And as a collector, I'm always in need of boards, bags, long boxes, and more to house all those comics. That's why I use promo code LCSPOD to get 10% off my orders at bcwsupplies.com. Not only does it get me a discount on BCW's already low prices, but I know using LCSPOD at checkout is another way I can show my support to the Last Comic Shop podcast and their continuing mission to bring fans together under that big comic book tent. So if you're in need of comic book supplies, head out to bcwsupplies.com and use promo code LCSPOD today. That's LCSPOD.
From Fantagraphics, The Santos Sisters Volume 1 hardcover collection. Compiling issues 1 to 5 of the hit indie comic book series. Join Amber and Alana, 2 ordinary girls with extraordinary powers, as they fight crime, date dumb guys, and try to stay sane in a world full of assassins, zombies, crazy ex-girlfriends, and more. A mix of Archie comics meet Love and Rockets, with a healthy dose of kick-ass action. Order your copy today.
Okay, boys, cue the weebly wobbly noise. You were all up to your own everyday lives, and all of a sudden, you've been transported to Battle World. That's right, 12-issue maxi series that takes place on Battle World called Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars. So let's start with the creatives involved. So, Mr. J.A., who was involved with the creation of these Secret Wars?
So when this was proposed, Jim Shooter stepped up and said, "No one can write this but me, so I'm writing this."
He was the editor-in-chief.
Which is such a Jim Shooter thing to do. So it was written by Jim Shooter and primarily penciled by Mike Zeck and Bob Layton. You had a bunch of different inkers, but mostly John Beatty, and Joe Rosen did letters, and colors by Christy Shield. There was some, towards the end, other people in the Marvel bullpen stepping in to help out. So you had Art Adams do a page, Mike Mignola handled a page here or there, and it's fun to see that style creep through and pick out the pages where they helped out.
Real quickly, one of the great stories that we got about Secret Wars came from our interview with Greg LaRocque, which you can listen to in the Last Comic Shop archives. Simply put, he was one of the guys that could have been the penciler for Secret Wars. Jim Shooter had came to him and said, "Hey, Greg, do you want to help us out with either doing this limited series called Secret Wars, or do you want to do one of the Marvel graphic novels, which was the hot freshness at the time, with the, God Loves, Man Kills, and Parallel Lives was eventually part of that." But anyways, Greg LaRocque jumped at the opportunity to do the graphic novel, and so you can see his work in this graphic novel called The Aladdin Effect, while Mike Zeck and Bob Layton went on to do Secret Wars. So
it's not as well known as the Secret Wars. But I will stick up for Jim Shooter simply because, remember, at Marvel at the time, you had Chris Claremont on X-Men, John Byrne doing Fantastic Four. They had just broken up not too long ago and had to go their separate ways. And so if you had one guy controlling this book and messing with the other guy's characters, people would have gone crazy. So the boss steps up and writes it. But what did he do in this book, Andy? Why don't you give us our 10-cent synopsis?
Well, what Jim Shooter did was tried to sell toys. That's right. If anybody knows the real story behind Secret Wars, it's the fact that Jim Shooter had gone to Mattel and said, "Hey, we will make a big company-wide event so that you can sell action figures to compete with," I think it was Kenner at the time, that was making the DC Superpowers of action figures in that 3 3/4 inch. So they needed a big event in which they'd have all the superheroes and supervillains all in the same place. They could make not only action figures, but lunchboxes and coloring books and all this jazz with all of the major characters of the Marvel Universe fighting it out. And so that's really what happens. This godlike being called the Beyonder zaps, like a random smattering of the Marvel good guys and bad guys to this world that he builds called Battle World. And he basically says, "I will promise you ultimate power for whoever is the victor in this fight." And so the bad guys are like, "Ooh, ultimate power, yay!" And the heroes are like, "We've got to stop them." And behind the scenes, Dr. Doom is like, "Screw all this. I'm going to figure out a way to get the Beyonder's power for myself." And Galactus is like, "I'm hungry. I'm going to eat this planet." And so that's pretty much Secret Wars. Doom eventually does get the ultimate power, but is again done in by his hubris, as Doom oftentimes is in these comic books. So yeah, it had lasting impacts on the Marvel Universe because Spider-Man got his symbiote costume in this arc. They also introduced Julie Carpenter, which, I don't know, important.
Yeah, she just walks in, just some girl from Denver.
Titania.
And Volcano, too, yeah.
And Molecule Man has his mental breakthrough in this particular run of issues, in which his whole hang-up about not being able to manipulate organic matter has gone by the wayside. Now he just can control all matter, and he becomes one of the most powerful beings in the entire Marvel Universe. That's all Jim Shooter.
Whose rogues gallery is he?
He originally appeared in Fantastic Four number 20, so he's technically a member of the Fantastic Four's rogues.
We're sleeping on a few other things. This is the book where She-Hulk joins the Fantastic Four. This is the big stuff happens in this book. So this is a book I kind of discovered by accident. I got really into comics in the summer of 2004. It was like the summer before my freshman year of high school. And I didn't know what I didn't know. I would go to the comic book shop, I'd grab books off the wall, and I would see these books that just looked big and important. I was like, I got no idea what this shit is. Like, I need to figure out what happened in the past. Like, I don't know what I don't know. And one of the big trade paperbacks I grabbed, Secret Wars. This version, I think, was printed maybe in 2005. I remember flipping through. I was like, this book is really cool. This book has everyone in it. That's awesome, because not every comic has every character in it. And I'll be honest with you guys, I thought it was slow as hell until about issue 8. It was just like one of those, like, it felt like ping pong. Like, they were just like, we're going to attack this base. The heroes are going to attack here. Then the villains were like, no, we're going to attack here. And that just happened. The first 7 issues, just back and forth.
It felt like a war book.
Well, that's another
the
thing.
Mutants
where it's like,
on their own side and all that.
Yeah, that's
fun
another
stuff.
thing where I'm like, well, there's like 30 people here. I don't know if 30 people can have a war. Just like secret skirmish, maybe.
Secret disagreement didn't test as well with the kids.
That's probably a fair point.
That is how they came up with the name. They tested the name and they found that kids like the word secret and war.
But man, issue 8, this book just picks up gas and it just doesn't slow down. Xavier is just like, you know, man, we'll actually watch Galactus. Like, we'll watch your dog if you want to go out and party. And then that's where Captain America and the Avengers just rain hell down on Doom base, where without Doom there. It's a really good book before, but it's a little slow. And then back 9 there, holy smokes, it just gets incredible.
Interesting. Now, Jay, you're coming at this from the opposite side of the fence. You had not read Secret Wars prior to this week, correct?
I had not. It is so stupid.
You're not ruining this for me, but go on.
Stupid. And the writing, I don't know if it holds up. There's a lot of questionable things going on. That being said, Jim Shooter nails what a dick Professor X is. He nailed that. He nailed the sort of weird relationship between Kitty Pryde and Colossus at the time.
Yeah.
You had like the who's who of superheroes on the superhero side. And you had, without Doom, like a bunch of B-list supervillains, to be honest.
Dr. Octopus is not B-list.
Well, they had Kang, but then they killed him off in like the first issue, and he doesn't come back to the last issue.
Well,
he was the peg warmer. You couldn't get rid of those Kangs. Nobody wanted the purple faced dude.
That's because he's not in the book.
He was the worst.
That's actually a point I wanted to bring up, so I'm going to jump in now. One of the things that's really neat for me reading this book, you know, and I've read it before, but like this time around, I looked at it sort of from like a meta contextual sort of read on it. Back in the 60s, when it was Stan and Jack and Steve Ditko, the Marvel Universe was its own thing. It wasn't beholden to anybody. And it was just so impressive, like how these guys that are mere mortals, but with the imaginations of gods, were able to bring all these different characters to life and to do all these wonderful things. And then you get to the 80s, and comic books are still created by mere mortals. But in the 80s, you're seeing that shift towards, we're going to join up with a toy line. We're going to go and, you know, have some tie-ins and some corporate synergy and all that other stuff. Except they're so bad at that. Like, they are not ready for the big time yet. Because the Secret Wars toy line, they had their missteps, sure. They have their lenticular shields, and I've got my little Captain America one here. You know Captain America's lenticular shield doesn't have in it? Captain America's goddamn shield. It's the one character that has a shield. You just put the little shield decal in there and you're done. No, that's not what they did. You had this awesome Doom base. I didn't have the Doom roller. I always wanted the Doom roller. That Doom roller looked great. But I had the cycles, though. There were 2 different cycles. There's one for the good guys, one for the bad guys. They had these little sidecars. Put another guy in there, and then one guy be driving the motorcycle, and another guy be in the sidecar. And none of those things are in this book. There's no connection between the toy line and what happens in the book. Kang gets a toy. He's off the first issue. Ultron plays a pretty big role. He doesn't get a toy. Daredevil gets a toy. I love Daredevil. I love the Daredevil toy. He's not in the book. Electro, Hobgoblin, they get toys. There's no goblins in here. There was no connection between what was going on with the toy line and what happens in the book.
I think that might be what's most endearing about it, though, is you're right. They are really bad at corporate synergy. Like, this book feels pre-corporate synergy. I understand it was supposed to be an advertisement to sell toys, but like, it doesn't feel gross when I read it. Like, my nostalgia, my rose-tinted glasses of when I was a dumb 14-year-old, just like loving this book because all these cool characters were in one book. But it didn't feel gross in a way that more modern crossovers feel gross to me.
Right. This is a point in Marvel where things are shifting, right? I mean, they're starting to get away from writing specifically just for kids, even though Secret Wars was an event that was aimed at kids, like the action figures, the coloring books, sticker books, all that stuff that was aimed at kids. But I don't think really kids were reading the comic. They were still trying to appease that older kid, teenager, people in their early 20s. I think that was where Marvel's sweet spot was at this time. And so I feel like people give Jim Shooter some shit for writing this book and for including things like, Wasp, Chippendales, and Enchantress fawning over Thor for most of the time, and Rhodey making terrible comments about, Julie Carpenter's legs and things like that. Jim Shooter was trying to bridge between kids and teenagers, kind of sort of like what he's been doing his entire career. He eventually did hone this idea, worked in even a little bit more nuance when he did Unity over at Valiant, right? Because in essence, Secret Wars and Unity, pretty much the same story. They're like in some pocket universe where nobody cares. There's dinosaurs. There's like tribesmen living in these huts and things like that. And the only thing with this is, though, as much as I love Unity, this book does have characters I really do give a shit about.
Yeah, these are the toys you want to see smashed together. It's not Solar.
It's got Hulk, it's got Spider-Man, it's got Captain America, it's got Iron Man. It's got a really great team of X-Men. Oh my gosh, I forgot, other than maybe Kitty Pryde and maybe maybe one other one, this is a stacked team of X-Men. They even got that right. Rogue, Storm, Cyclops, Wolverine,
Nightcrawler,
Colossus.
Yeah.
They even team Magneto up with the group, which makes it even better. That's a classic 8, but I really do.
But George brings up Lockheed. Where does Lockheed go?
He's with a Chippy.
He's with a Chippy.
J.A., go ahead.
Yes. He went off with a Chippy.
He's that friend you go to Vegas with. He's like, all right, guys, see you in a bit. And then you just don't see him until you're at the airport, at the exit gate, for your flight
That's right,
home.
the plane ride home, yeah.
Yeah. This book is dumb. J.A.'s right. Okay, there's no other way to say this book is dumb. This book is literally smashing action figures together. And I'm sorry to draw a comparison to a book we're not talking about, but it is so funny to me. Secret Wars coming out from Marvel, and then over, across the street at DC, they're doing Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is just such a dense, important text that they're trying to condense at that point 50 years worth of comics continuity down into a way that is sensical and makes sense. Where I was like, don't worry about it, and they just take their favorite toys and just beat the shit out of them together.
Yeah,
I think it's so
Captain
funny.
America has willpower. Suck it.
Just the difference in tone, the difference in goals, the difference in execution. Mike Zeck's art is gorgeous. Bob Blade's art is gorgeous. The George Perez paneling alone in Crisis on Infinite Earths, I'm like, oh, this is a work of art. His original pages should be in the Smithsonian. That's how good Crisis on Infinite Earths look. And this is such a beach read compared to that book, which is just an honorific textbook about a treatise of just continuity in comics over decades of storytelling.
It is a beach read. I think that's the perfect analogy. And it's just, full of weird things. You've got the love triangle between Colossus and Johnny Storm and this healer chick with cat eyes.
Zaji.
Or what? Wolverine's that's just how she heals people. I don't think she actually loves them. What do we know? She's some alien chick. And then Reed, because Sue doesn't show up because she's pregnant, Reed turns it all into not how she cares, but, oh, she must be hating this because I'm not there. And I did think that the Lizard got some nice beats, but Rogue got no beats. Except whenever she got beat down by Titania, it was like she always leads with her chin.
Yeah, and the X-Men got beat down by Spider-Man, and the X-Men got beat down by other people. They just kept taking it this entire series.
Oh yeah, and then Professor X looked like such a scumbag when he just like rewrote Spider-Man's memory.
Yeah,
Oh, God, incredible stuff in this book. But like maybe that's why I liked it. Was maybe it was just because like the characters were so different from the books I was reading at the time that this felt like the classic like frozen in amber essence of these characters. And you guys know this era of comics infinitely better than I ever could. Like this is your heyday. This is your strike zone here. The melodramatic over-the-topness, like the apprehension and the mistrust between these heroes, like that just feels so antiquated to me that it's like, oh, this is how it used to be before comics got modern.
you mean Scott Summers saying the professor has been extra harsh on us, but I guess that's what you have to do when you're sending your students to die. Well, I better get out there and die.
Oh, we haven't mentioned maybe the dumbest character of all, Claw.
Oh,
he was great.
No!
No, he's like top
Great.
5 in
Made
this
out of
book. What are you talking
sound.
about?
down.
Liquefied sound, solidified sound, and then Doom cuts him apart to create
Art.
It was like a magnifying lens. I'm like, oh, that actually kind of makes sense. Yeah.
See, those were my favorite moments. I loved any point in this book where Doom got a toady. Like, whether it was Claw being his toady, whether it was Molecule Man being his toady. I don't know. Jim Shooter knew how to write, like, that guy that doesn't have the crown yet, but is just kind of like, well, if I stick around to this guy, maybe on the coattails, maybe I'll get a little piece of that sweetness. It was great. And at the end of the day, like, not to spoil, a 40-year-old book, but like how the Beyonder uses the Hulk and then Julie Carpenter and eventually Claude to claw his way back into getting the power from Dr. Doom. I thought it was genius.
I don't know about genius, because a lot of things happened where I was like, what? When did people from Denver get there? How did Dr. Doom beat the Beyonder? He just wanted to, and the Beyonder's like, all right, I saw your history. Cool. Now Doom's all powerful?
Oh, I think he won because like Doom had a desire, and that was like the one thing the Beyonder didn't understand, and like that was why he brought Battle World together, was to better understand desires after observing Earth for years. Read the book, Chad. Good God.
I read it. I saw Doom's skeleton. I saw Doom with his mask.
It's all around. There. It's all there in issue 12 when Enchantress is talking to the bathtub. Okay, like it happens.
I forgot about that. I forgot about creating, and then she comes out, and the absorbing man is waiting. Jeez, he took long enough in there.
Would you fall in there, Enchantress? Bada boom. Yeah.
Sorry, I was taking an exposition dump.
And Doom unmasked. We forgot about Doom unmasked. Takes his mask off, and he's a beautiful looking man, a handsome devil.
Captain America's like, you see what the first thing he did was is fix his face.
Yeah, that was such that I forgot that from reading it as a kid. Like, that was good. That was a great clock by Cap there. And they did one of my favorite things in movies where it's like they're talking about a heist, and then it turns out that was the heist, and then you're just with them afterwards. Like Claw was like, I don't know, maybe Colossus survived, and then he went and found his woman, and then the woman like made him better, and then Reed Richards got better, and then all of a sudden he fixed everyone, and then all of a sudden they're here, and it's like, shit, that happened. Like that is what happened in the story. Like I thought that was just Claw doing like a dumb hypothetical, but like no, that's legit what happened. Like damn Jim Shooter, I didn't know you had it in you.
If you think about it, maybe it actually didn't happen until Doom heard the story and used his infinite god powers to actually make it happen. He's like,
oh no, that was my interpretation.
All feasible. Yes, I like this. Good
if
idea.
only Doom had gotten that nap he needed. He kept trying to just take a nap.
In any case, we've got to take a quick break on the last comic shop, but we'll be right back with more of our show with ratings as well as recommendations. So stick around for that.
You know what I think? This world we're in right now is the fairy tale. And what's really real is on the other side.
Ramsey, mechanic by day, aspiring comic book creator by night, went into the woods and tripped. He was bombarded by bizarre and mysterious glyphs that he drew into his sketch pad and onto the body of his muse, Regina.
Oh, groovy! Your art is crawling all over me.
Shit. What is going on with you?
What's going on with you? All of a sudden, you're a complete drip, baby. Maybe you need another limb to the head. Ah!
Bloom, written and created by Ted Sikora, with art by Butch Mappa.
How are you feeling, Ram Man?
You've never experienced a story so astonishing, so far out and away from the beaten path.
Where in the am I?
Blast off with Bloom, the origin of a prophet. Order yours at herotomorrow.com.
Whoa! Get your lenticular shields ready. It's more or less Comic Shop and our rating for this week. I am so excited to get to ratings because I am about to drop the biggest 4 that ever dropped on the show for Secret Wars. Not to spoil my rating, but I absolutely love this book. But we'll go through the motions. J.A. Scott's got our rating scale. So what do we got this week?
Could have been chippies. Could have been
some doom bases, some bathtub water nymphs.
Bulldozer thing that came into the swamp for no apparent reason.
Oh, that was sweet.
They didn't make a toy of that, though.
No, they didn't have that toy.
Question.
Yeah, it could be Wasp's memory boards.
Could be all the smooching between Wasp and Magneto.
She was a honeypot. She was there for a mission. It's fine. Yeah.
No, but we're going to go with lenticular shields.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
It was the best part of those toys. I mean, best/worst. I agree.
6-year-old me is still mad about that Captain America thing. That guy needs his shield. It's a plot point in the book.
Well, I will go first because, as I said, I already gave mine. This is a 4. George did hit the nail on the head when he said that Crisis on Infinite Earths is basically taking all these decades of DC continuity, trying to give service to all these different fan groups, rechopping it, rechanneling it, and setting up their company for the future. This is just Jim Shooter needed to make an event where bad guys and good guys punched each other for a while, and it was long enough for Mattel to sell toys. And so he did that.
Set his company up for the future.
Right, he did, because there's so many things that came from this. Not only was it able to show that Marvel could dip their toe into corporating licensing, even though this was a terrible first step, but they proved that they could do it. And not only that, but you get the Spider-Man costume, you get The Thing got his own series for a while after this. There's that awesome scene, one of my favorite scenes in comic books, where Captain America is just walking towards Doom, and Doom's like, no, you gotta be dead. You gotta be dead. He just keeps on coming back. He's just like, I can't kill these guys. They're like roaches. Like, I can't get rid of them. And that's because secretly Dr. Doom doesn't want to get rid of his enemies. He wants to show off in front of them. That's the whole point. He doesn't have anybody to show off of. What is he around for? He was never going to leave Battle World. That's why he never wanted to take the nap. He never wanted to leave. He was waiting for the good guys to come back to give him something to do. But it's a 4. This is a great book. It's got so many great characters in it, and I'm really glad that we revisited it on this week's show. J.A.
I can't give it a 4, as much as I want to, because I know you all love it. It was just too stupid. Is it a fun read? Yes. Is it okay that it's stupid? Yes. Is it stupid? Yes. All those things exist together in a world where people are fighting each other and dying and coming back and fighting each other again, where none of it matters. Maybe that's what it is. And I'm going to preview a bit of my recommendation. Jim Shooter played again with this whole soup with Unity in the Valiant universe, and he nailed it that time. Yes, it doesn't have the superheroes that you care about because it's Valiant and they're smaller and whatnot, but the whole idea, the concept, I think, plays better in Unity than it does here. Here, the setup is so bonkers wild, and some of the writing and dialogue is cringe-worthy. But other parts, it's just smashing together of toys. I mean, that they never made, as Chad pointed out. So it's a 3.5 for me. 3.5 lenticular shields. It's like the one shield where you lost the insert. Right? That was always the worst one.
No, you know what's worse than that? It's when you couldn't get them to line up just right. and then your images wouldn't work. You'd get those lines in there to be all glitchy. You're like, what's wrong with this shield? It's not the shield, it's you. You got to line them up the right way, dummy. But no, you can't do it because it's all screwy. Listen, as a kid, I have so many fond memories of getting those Secret Wars toys for Christmas, and they were some of my favorite toys to bang together. And this comic book is such fun, just banging the toys together. And even now, like, as I'm older and I read it, and there's a panel, then I sent it to the guys because we were talking about Jim Shooter and his legacy, and, about how Jim Shooter, one of his big things, he wanted the books to get out there on time. And there's a scene where Xavier's talking to Magneto, and he's like, you have to be careful, Magneto. Imperiousness for the sake of expediency isn't wise. And meanwhile, Jim Shooter was known for being a dick to make sure the books got out on time. And then, the other fun thing, and George alluded to this, issue 12, you could tell they were running behind. They took the pages to a San Diego Comic-Con, and it was one of those all-hands-on-deck sort of things, where you had multiple inkers taking pages from this book to get it done. And so you had people like John Beatty, who's the guy who gets the credit. But there's also a lot of Art Nichols pages. There's Joe Rubenstein pages. There's Art Adams pages. There's Mike Mignola inking Art Adams on a page. And that stuff, just as a grown-up comic fan, like, that's fun to see, to go along with all the rumors about Jim Shooter, running a tight ship, and he made the magic happen. And even though there might have been other creators that were miffed at some of the changes he made or some of the choices that he had to go through, like, it looked like he wanted to take the X-Men down a peg or two. But even that, like, I thought he handled the X-Men drama really well, where they became their own separate entity. There's a lot that's going on here, right? Including some really outdated 80s stuff from Iron Man, and some of the attitudes in here aren't things you would see in books today. But it was all part of it. So because of my affection for it, even though it is dumb, I still love it. I'm giving it that 4. 4 lenticular shields.
All right, George, finish us out.
I'm giving it a 4 just because, like, I don't know how you could have, like, a curriculum on comics and not have, like, a unit on this book. Jay, I completely get your criticism. You're 1,000% right with your critiques of the book. That doesn't matter because of the footprint that this book made in the industry, just because of what it means to Marvel. For all intents and purposes, Secret Wars means to Marvel what Crisis means to DC, for better or for worse, right? Because, like, the reboot in 2015, that was Secret Wars. It was kind of sort of like this book. It was more of a modern, I guess, reinterpretation. Like, it was almost like Jonathan Hickman doing, like, a director's cut or, like, a special edition, like a reboot himself of this event. But, like, this book means so much. It's what the, like, Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars, right? Like, that's, like, the upcoming, like, MCU projects. Like, this means too much to Marvel to not be one of the most important core tenets of the company itself. So because of that alone, you have to give it a 4. Plus, I agree it's overwritten. I agree it's a little hokey. This is just one of the prettiest comics that's ever been drawn, I think. Just so many little interesting things. The sense of scale of, like, actually seeing, like, an entire galaxy collapse and then be reconstituted into one planet is incredible. Dumb things like the word bubbles actually being, like, horizontal to, like, take up, like, less space on like a panel just to show off more of the art, even though, like, it inadvertently takes up way much more of the art. The way they're like, oh, Doom transported 22 million miles in the flash of a speed of light. Like, it was operating on a scale that is just, it made me feel young again, where it, like, I just had to buy in. I had to have, like, the dumb optimistic brain of an 8-year-old, just, like, seeing stories about people who were, for all intents and purposes, gods. Like, this book is a 4 because of its importance in the industry. This book is a 4 because of its stupid, unimpeded creativity. I love it.
All right. And it is now time for recommendations. That's right. It's the part of every single Last Comic Shop episode where we give you other books in addition to Secret Wars, which you can get in a variety of different formats out there, whether it's trade paperback, whether it's in hardback, whether it's finding those single issues. Again, issue 8 is pretty hard to come by. Again, there's not much of that symbiote in that story. It's like the last 2 pages. But yeah, that'll run you a pretty penny at your local comic book shop if you can find it.
But it's actually not the first appearance of the black costume, right? Because the Spider-Man book came out before he got the costume in chronological order, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. Which one's considered the first appearance of the black costume?
Yeah, so May 1984, issue 252 was the first appearance of the black costume. Well, the black costume actually was submitted from a reader, the idea for the black costume. So there was a kid that wrote in, like, I think this would be cool. And Marvel and Jim Shooter were like, yeah, here's $200, kid. Thanks.
But I believe it was that Mattel wanted variant action figures. And so they needed to come up with different costumes for some of their major players. So they needed a second Spider-Man figure for a Series 2 Spider-Man. So they're like, we got to give him a different costume. And Jim Shooter's like, okay, we'll give him this black suit number thing. Yeah, there we go. And eventually Ron Frenz was like, you're not getting rid of that at the end of Secret Wars because, like, I'm already doing the books with the costume and they've already come out. So, like, you have to keep that at least to the end of Secret Wars because we've got this going too. I don't even know if they had an idea that it was a symbiote at that point. But yeah.
Randy Schuler, by the way, the name of the fan that submitted the costume. It was originally red instead of white on the inside.
But in any case, whether you pick up any of these issues of Secret Wars in any of these variety of different formats, you should also pick up these comics. And we're going to go ahead and start off with J.A. because I think he alluded to his recommendation.
I think I've maybe recommended this before. We're going to read it. We say we're going to read it this year, and then it's always next year. And then we say we're going to read it next year, and then it's always the next year. Unity, the Unity crossover from Valiant, Jim Shooter, taking this Secret Wars concept and applying it to his burgeoning Valiant universe. The stakes felt a little bit more important because it's Solar going up against Mother God, and then it's all the, there's dinosaurs and robots and all the Valiant superheroes fighting. And because they use the actual issues of each character as opposed to making it a 12-issue standalone series, you got a little bit of character development for each character within their own issue. So you got an Armstrong issue, you got a Magnus Robot Fighter issue, instead of just having some beats within the overall storyline like you had in Secret Wars. So I recommend that. In fact, Chad's going to love this. You all are going to love this. Secret Wars being so influential for Unity, but also so influential for Marvel. I am going to retroactively change my grade from 3.5 to 4.
Wow, I do love it.
George convinced me just because of the importance of it. So I forgot to take that into account. I was just judging it mainly on the stupidness, how dumb the story was. And that's why I knocked it down a bit. But the importance of it, and the importance of it not just within Marvel, but within Jim Shooter's lifetime and what he took out of it when he was building other things in the future, like the Unity crossover. So there we go.
Okay, so assuming that you have gone out and read Marvel Superhero Secret Wars, because I enjoyed some of the little meta aspects of it this time around, what's more meta than Deadpool's Secret Wars? It was a 4-issue miniseries where you guys remember the big part that Deadpool played in Secret Wars? What? He wasn't created until 1989 or whatever, and that came out years. No. There's a 4-issue miniseries. It's Deadpool dancing in between the raindrops of all the happenings in Secret Wars. It's tons of fun, especially if you have the background. It was actually the tie-in to the Jonathan Hickman era Secret Wars.
I loved all those Battle World stories. That was such a rich time for Marvel. Everybody got 4 issues to just do whatever the hell they wanted.
Yeah, it was like a contained New 52, where Marvel got to take all the swings they wanted. They got to do their Western in 1872. They got to have all the books. It was Thor Corps or Thor's.
For policemen, yeah, that was the best.
Yeah, but it's 4 issues and out. I can dig it.
All right, George, what's your recommendation?
Because this book is such a summer read to me, I'm going to recommend another summer read that just makes me feel like the end of summer. I'm going to recommend The Death and Return of Superman. I feel like I've probably mentioned this before on this podcast. I'm sorry if I have, but that should tell you how important this book is to me and how much I think you'd enjoy it. When I was 15 or 16, there was a giant like phone book size trade paperback reprinting of it, to the point where I know nothing about Funeral for a Friend. I don't think I've read any of those issues. I tried to like reread them by like their new individual trades where like every mini aspect of the story is collected. Man, did I fall asleep reading Funeral for a Friend. I didn't think that stuff was very good at all. But the trade paperback I had was literally just Death of Superman and Reign of the Superman into Return of Superman. Just treated it like its own little mini trilogy. And that just feels like I'm at the beach too. So I recommend that. Super breezy. You get some beautiful, absolutely beautiful Jurgens art. What's not to love?
Well, my recommendation this week actually is not for a comic book, but it does tie into a previous episode of The Last Comic Shop in which we review Demon Slayer. Yes, the first volume of that awesome manga series featuring Tanjiro Kamado being a demon-slaying samurai-type warrior and his trials and tribulations as he tries to find a cure for the demon infliction that has been put upon his sister, his journey to becoming a Hashira. Well, this week, Friday, actually, there's going to be the American debut of the latest Demon Slayer movie. This is Infinity Castle. It follows the Hashira training arc, which you can watch all of the arcs actually on Netflix and Hulu. Both of those services have those parts of the anime available, but it continues the story of Tanjiro trying to kill his arch nemesis, Muzan Kibutsuji.
Nailed it. No, you nailed it.
This movie has already got critical acclaim outside of the United States. It broke several box office records, grossing approximately $120 million domestically when it was released in Japan, becoming one of the highest grossing films of 2025 and the 10th highest grossing film in the country's history. It's massively popular, the Demon Slayer franchise, and I have become a huge, huge fan of it, thanks to not only Ethan's recommendation of us reading it on this program, but also my son, who's a massive fan of the Demon Slayer. So I'm going to be definitely going out to the movie theater to see Infinity Castle when it airs on movie screens this Friday. And we hope that you stick around for more Last Comic Shop over the next couple of weeks, because we are getting close to our 250th episode. That's right. So make sure that you're rate, reviewing, and subscribing over at www.lastcomicshoppodcast.com so you don't miss it.
While we might be the Last Comic Shop podcast, we do not want to be the last comic shop, so please support your local comic book shops if you are able to do so. You can get great books like The Death and Return of Superman, which was recommended by me. You could probably find the Unity Saga in bargain bins. Is there a trade paperback of that, Jay?
There is not, because of all the gold key characters, so
fair enough.
You have to go bargain bin hunting.
Happy hunting to all of you hoping to track down the Unity Saga, and you can check out Demon Slayer. Chad, I'll be honest, I forgot which book you recommended. Please. Oh, Deadpool's Secret Wars. Deadpool kills the Secret Wars.
There you go. And just to toss it out there, there's so many different ways you can get your Secret Wars, whether it is hunting down those issues, which the facsimile editions of 8 are out there, whether it is the Secret Wars Omnibus. I think Andy has the Secret Wars Omnibus out there because he's our Omni fan. George has the Secret Wars, the old school trade paperback. But what you can count on is the Marvel Archive Edition, which is like all those things, but embiggened. So if you got some extra scratch and you really love Secret Wars, we could recommend you check out from Penguin Random House the Marvel Archive Edition, Marvel Superhero Secret Wars Gallery Edition. Whew. It's a mouthful, but it's worth it. But all that and more waits for you at your local comic shop. Make sure you go there today. And thank you, George, for the assist.
We also sell merch. So if you need a tote bag to carry around all those comic books that you're picking up at your local comic book shop, or if you want a t-shirt, this week we've got ones made with symbionts. That's right. So you can be like Spider-Man and not use the correct machine.
Oh, did you see the summer Spidey outfit? I haven't seen that pop up in any issues. Were he short sleeves?
Yeah. Yeah, right. Where he was just wearing the shorts. He looked like he was wearing biking shorts, and
That was
like,
disgusting. I hated everything about it.
The colorists just didn't know when to stop. There's no line there. They were the Ron Burgundy of colorists.
Right. Well, one thing that we hope that you don't want to stop with is making sure that you have all of those comic book collecting supplies to make sure that you're keeping all of your copies of comics looking fresh and clean, especially if you happen to have a Secret Wars #8. I mean, if you're not slabbing that thing, make sure that you're getting out to bcwsupplies.com and using what promo code JA to save everybody 10%.
LCSPOD at checkout gives you 10% on all of your comic book supplies. That's LCS Pod.
And it helps us here at the show.
Yeah. So save a little scratch, support the Last Comic Shop in the meantime. And again, we thank everybody that worked on Secret Wars, the book that we reviewed this week. But we really want to send out a special thanks to the late, great Jim Shooter. Again, I was really happy that we were reading this book this year, his passing earlier this summer. An amazing talent in the comic book industry, gone way too soon. We really do appreciate Jim and his lasting legacy with books like Secret Wars, Unity, and just a variety of other ones. So thanks, Jim, for all that you did. Until next week, I was the host with the most, Andy Larson. I was joined by Chad Smith, Jay Scott, and the wonderful George from Shortbox Summary. And we hope that you stay safe. Stay shooting. Bang, bang! Making sure that Galactus is not waving his arms in the air. And
yeah, he's like the timetable because he's going to eat the whole thing. It's like,
Yeah.
I've had enough. I'm just eating this battle world.
Nothing beats hunger.
Comic Shop Podcast was a 2025 Black Angus production.